Good afternoon, XRP Future Millionaire here. I want to go over a quick update because what I'm seeing in most of these is that we could get a push to the 4-hour time frame as we're seeing in XRP. We don't want to say, oh, everything is going to the 4-hour time frame, but when we see how XRP bounced off the 30-minute time frame, it came up out of the 88 cent. Now we've got 93 cent here and 98 cent. 93 cents the local double top. And in the 4-hour time frame, you can see we've come right up to it basically, but if we bounce over this is how we could get our push to 98 cents and possibly that 101. I don't know if we'll have enough steam to go all the way to 108, but I definitely was planning on a push to the 4-hour time frame as we've talked about. So we're going to see how much farther, if we can get a shot to 98 maybe. But this is the area I was talking about where I would consider selling if I was somebody who was swing trading, but I wouldn't touch it yet. I'm very happy with my portfolio right now. The XRP I bought, sub 60 cents, is paying off right now. And I also made another trade. I'm just hesitant to talk about it when I make it. But I'm in Filecoin, as well as my XRP holdings. I bought just north of 100 shares of Filecoin. And I got them at $34. I put it down to get the line when I bought it. $34.62 I bought it. When we made that dip earlier today about, after my morning update. Or right around my morning update, when it made that dip, it held, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to take a chance. But I'm taking the gamble that, and I'm not a financial advisor. Should you take my advice? No. But I'm taking the gamble that this, in fact, it could come right out. That's the problem, and that's what I'm having a hard time with. That's why I have that real strong sell line again, right where I bought it. Because if it falls through there, I know it's going to be a problem. But what I'm looking for is a XRP like bounce, how we kind of have something like this form, and then it starts to come up like this instead of, and it would be an angle down, but then we ultimately would get rejected around this point. But the problem is we don't know if that's going to be a bounce. Any of these are going to bounce like XRP, because XRP's got incentive right now because it's got a solo airdrop. So, with Sologenics. So that could be playing into this. I was very tempted, and right now it's paying out evenly, but I was very tempted to go XLM's route instead. And I basically did it, and I played it with one factor. I said, you know what? In this one case, just because of the consolidation, if they're all making the run up to the 4-hour time frame, and it could be a deadly decision. But for XLM, it's going about 11.95% if it gets the 4-hour time frame like we've been talking. We've been talking about that 30 cents. I think it can get up there, especially with what XRP is doing. It makes sense for it to be about 30 cents, so that's about 12% move from here because we've already had a little bit of a move from when I talked about it. And then you look at what I'm dealing with just from right now. If you're not in a position and you're trying to make an educated decision based on what could be the most beneficial, we'll just say this is at 35.31. I mean, you're talking to the 4-hour time frame. It's a much bigger move than XLM. So 2-to-1. If I'm taking the gamble, I took the 2-to-1 risk on here. It's had a big sideways and down, and crashing volume sideways and down. As long as the bottom doesn't fall out by Bitcoin, and it's giving me confidence that Bitcoin's at least sticking around this area where it's north of the 30-minute time frame, which gives me room to gamble on something if I'm going to take a gamble. And this, you know, the only problem here, and I can see it from a mile away, is if I get bullied out of my position because Bitcoin wants to come down from this level. What I'm hoping for is Bitcoin holds the short-term moving average and finally makes its push up and at least gets up to this area right here, this 51,894. I don't know if it'll get up there, but it at least can make a push up to 49,993, and that should give Filecoin enough time to run. I did come on for a specific reason right now because in the 1 minute there was just a spike on Filecoin, so it has to come down and retest these areas. So I thought this was a good chance for anybody who is watching who's like, you know what, I'm feeling frisky. Because let's face it, from where I bought it to where it's at now, it's barely moved. 1.89%. So, you know, that's where we're at right now. And I'm in a position right now to where I would even be willing, if it came down here, like I bought it here, but if it came down into here or into here, let's see. I'll show you guys how far my plan, because I want you guys to see exactly my line of thinking. So I let it bounce out of here, and now I'm letting it consolidation on, you know, it's consolidating after I bought it, but I waited for it to bounce up, almost hit 35.41, and then consolidate back down. And I couldn't get this wick. I was watching, but I didn't buy the wick. I bought it when it came back up into this area right here, in this red line. But I feel like it's created us a little bit of a you know, a little bit of a roadmap to where I think it can come up and do some of these funky things. The only thing is, though, is I am very cautiously optimistic. Like I said, I have a very tight stop loss. If it comes back down to 34.62, I've got a gut decision. Do I sell it there? I'd probably wait until 33.83 if I'm being honest, because I can totally see a scenario how it came down, and then what if it wants to come like that. But just because of the way this pattern is, and an overall double bottom, it's not going to make sense to keep double bottoming, coming down, double bottoming, coming. It's going to do something where it would fake you out and then just kick up, and then it could come down to this area. I would see that as more likely than it just coming straight down, especially with what's going on in the market. And Filecoin reacts pretty favorably, and this is one of the Internet of Things, so look it up. So that's an extended view on that, the reasons why, my support, resistance, also what I'm looking at for sellout structures. If you're looking at my targeted move, this is plain and simple. I'm looking for a pump to the likes of what we're seeing with some of these other ones that have popped up to the 4-hour time frame, like Matic and XRP. There's been a few of them, actually, that we can go over if we wanted to really look. I expect Doge. Doge was another one that I was giving heavy consideration, because I think it could pop back up to that 22 cents possibly. Maybe not that high, but it's at least going to make a run at that 20 cents. So I put heavy consideration, but with Filecoin, you're looking at your ultimate target here at $44.32. If the gods graced you and we were able to get there, that's where you would sell, no questions asked. And everybody's like, oh, well, I don't think it could go that high. Well, think about the retracement levels, guys. So if you bring out the fib, this is what I did with XRP too, because I wanted to see how it would match up. So I take out the fib channel. It's nothing professional. I just take it from the top to the bottom. It lays me out a estimation. And if you look at the 382 fib, I mean, 43.27 is the 382 fib line. 44.32 is the 4-hour time frame. I think that's a pretty good indication that we could come up to there. Or, well, shit. 38. It was like 43, 40, 34, whatever. It's close enough. Or, nope, it's not. We got to redo this because we don't want this fucked up. But this is just based on the fib retracement, guys, on a failed run back up. And this is what I did with XRP, and it was pretty dead on, because XRP came back up. So 43.24, although I didn't do it from the exact drop point. Son of a bitch. See, that's where you get these finicky results, guys, when you don't get the exact channel. So we had a drop from here and came down, came up, came down. But I don't want to come from here. I want to go from exactly where it dropped. So now we've got our channel. So if you look at this, okay, guys, see the 0.382 retracement on the way back up on a failed run up would be $44.02. 44.32 is in the 4-hour time frame right now. It's perfect. That's perfect. And it bounced off the 0.786 line at 33. Yeah, look how close that is. That is all so perfect. So we bounce off the 786, which means I think we're going to go back up to 382. And I don't use the fib a lot, but this is my play right here. And this is exactly what I'm thinking. So, and then if you're in it, you can be aware of some of these other ones, which will line up with the 2-hour and 4-hour time frames. Look familiar? So that would be the one that I'd be worried about right there in the 2-hour. If you could get on top of the 30-minute. But I think we're on to something here and we need to pay heavy attention. So just pay attention to that with Filecoin. XRP's come up to the 4-hour time frame. But we could, like we were talking about, with the solo, you know, we're getting pumped up maybe because of solo. But that's not till the 24th. And we talked about this yesterday. I think this was a perfect coverage. And again, if you look at the uptrending in the short-term symmetrical triangle, and I know it's hard to see because I have a lot of stuff, but you can very clearly, in our uptrending model, this blue line right here cuts across. You've got a line from up here that cuts down. And we're absolutely trading resistance, support, support, resistance. Resistance, support. Now we're in between here. And guys, we've got up to like 98 cents. We talked about this before. That's why I think this pump's not over yet. I don't think this pump's over yet. I think we could get an overshot to $1.01. I still think it's coming back down in the bottom of the triangle after. But this is, we've got room to pump. That's why we brought it out. We have absolutely enough room to pump. So you technically can come up and you can even, oh shit, you can even break the top of the triangle. But if you look at it realistically, this has room to pump. I think it's got room, like I've been saying. If it comes up and does this, it's got room up in here. That's the top of the symmetrical triangle. So on this uptrending support, downtrending resistance. So I don't see any reason why that wouldn't happen. I really don't. So then you talk about a pump watch. Not just Filecoin. It's not just Filecoin I'm watching. Algo, I took serious consideration in. It just didn't have as much upside. But I think $1.57 is absolutely in play for Algo. With the way IOTA just pumped, it's much too... I mean, when you have a 7-cent difference between IOTA and Algo, I believe everything's going to pump between 18 and 25%. As long as Bitcoin doesn't roll over, I think we're about to pump here. We've already got the XRP pump nailed. We've got every single zone. We know where it's going to retrace to once this is done. We've given every reason why. Now it's time to focus your attention if you're looking one or the other. Right now, XRP to XLM, just for XLM to catch up, it'd have to be about 30.7 cents. So I expect XLM to pump. Now that XRP is doing what it needs to do, but I expect XLM to follow suit. I expect XLM to be somewhere around 30 cents and then probably break that. And we might be pushing, we could be pushing this 36 cents possibly if we can come into the 4-hour time frame to the top side. Because let's face it, folks, if XRP gets to $1, $1, $2, XLM is going to have to be at about 33 cents. So let's say XRP got an overshot. I still feel more comfortable around that 30 to 32 cent range, but we'll see what happens. So pump alert watch on XLM, Filecoin. If you're a fan of Dogecoin, you could look at that because I believe we're going to retest this as well. In the 4-hour time frame, even if we get rejected and use this as a right shoulder, I still think it's got to come up to about 19.16. So, I mean, you're talking some 13%. So I think we're going to pump here on a lot of stuff. I know only a few things have pumped. Maybe not even a few things, but I think Bitcoin's sitting in a position where we could get some pumps. Obviously, you got to pay attention, have some stop losses because you don't want to get caught with your pants down. That's the key thing here. Do not want to get caught with your pants down. Make sure to hit that like button. Turn that bell notification on. Subscribe to the channel if you're new or returning. And let's see if we can get anything that might agree with us. So Bitcoin technical analysis. China has cut rates from 3.85% to 3.8%, confirming the first reduction in 2 years. Interest rate cuts tend to inject liquidity into the economy. Therefore, hedges against inflation such as cryptocurrency, gold, and asset prices generally react. So, okay, so this could actually help us today then. So this could be that short-term pump leading into Christmas. And then right after that, we get the breakdown. So this is actually good news for what we were talking about. However, China's monetary stimulus is probably too small relative to the moves of the Fed and other central banks. And for these reasons, I don't expect large movements in cryptocurrency prices as a result of these monetary policies. Bitcoin skews are trading at par for different maturities with a spread of 2% between 1 week and 6 months to maturity, while at the money volatility ATMIV continues to hold up well. Short-term price action will probably remain quiet over the holidays. And in anticipation of this, traders were quick to close the December 31st contracts. The potential for a sharp drop in prices remain real, but I still believe this consolidation phase will last for some time to come. Ethereum skews are up, also trading around par with a 1% spread between 1 week and 6 months to maturity. At the moment, IV has decreased by approximately 10% after FOMC with a parallel shift on all maturities. Also interesting, Ethereum's transaction fees, which also depend on volumes are finally decreasing. Average transaction fees typically anticipate the price changes of Ethereum and Layer 2 tokens. Layer 2 tokens have risen significantly in recent months, and although I'm not expecting fireworks towards the end of the year, early 2022 could be the time for the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap to see a price rebound. Here's the first analysis that I have prepared for today's. So that's just a little look. There was one other thing that I did see that I was actually. Nah, I think I'm okay with what we went through just now. Oh, this is something that I thought was interesting. So 1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin moved at it as it breaks through 2-week-old falling wedge pattern. Too large appeared on the Bitcoin blockchain as the market has started rebounding, with cryptocurrency gaining some percent in its value in the last 24 hours. 1.2 billion transferred. According to the data from Whale Tracker Bot, 2 unknown wallets have transferred more than 1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin in all. Both wallets sending and receiving funds were tagged as unknown. Okay, and then the first transaction was worth 736 million, appeared on the chain at 11:11 p.m. UTC, and was sent to a wallet that currently holds the received funds only, with no additional transaction appearing before and after. The sender wallets also have not been noticed receiving any other recorded transactions previously and hold no funds except those sent previously. The second transaction was made from a wallet with a greater number of inputs for various addresses on the blockchain, but the recipient wallet address is another empty one with only one transaction recorded. Most likely the 2 transactions were part of an internal funds transfer on an OTC exchange, since both addresses do not have any exchange tags. Bitcoin breaks through strong pattern. The increased activity of wallets on the Bitcoin blockchain could have been tied to the strong technical pattern break that cryptocurrencies made earlier in the day. Bitcoin broke through a 14-day trendline that was acting as a support of the current local downtrend after bouncing from the bottom line of the falling wedge. The majority of the trading community expected a spike in volatility after Bitcoin breaks through the wedge in either direction. The pattern itself also implies that the financial asset would face a volatility and volume increase in the event of a breakout, with Bitcoin volatility remains average, with the cryptocurrency gaining approximately 1 to 2% after the breakout. So nothing major, but it's definitely something to watch to see if maybe we could get a pump in some markets. But it's definitely, excuse me, I feel good about my positions. I feel good that we could be coming into a market pump, but I'm also, like I said, cautiously optimistic. But when you start seeing a lot of these start breaking for 15, 20%, you kind of got to figure out which one is on the food chain next. And if you start to look at like IOTA, if anybody's in it, you're going to have this heavy support now, and we can move it into here because that's what you got to watch for at $1.20. You got resistance at $1.32. If you can break $1.32, this even can come up. I mean, you're looking at this $1.55 area with very low resistance. I know that $1.40 area is always a pain in the ass in here. But other than that, you've got a pretty clear opening if this can keep going. And it looks like a nice, this is either a fake out or this is a nice breakout to where we could have probably another 10 to 15%. So Algo, all eyes would be on Algo, because Algo, sideways and down, crashing volume, that's very bullish if this wants to pull up. So I would say, man, it really does. It really looks like with Algo, you would really come up into this area, into $1, what is that, $1.59 if this pulls up. So 17% you could be looking at there with Algo. I mean, there is some opportunity in the water right now. It's just a matter of, do you have the stomach to hold this if it were to backfire on you? Or do you have the ability and the mindset to sell it when it hits some stop loss numbers? So just pay attention to what I'm saying and take it with a grain of salt, because if you're not ready to trade, what I'm telling you isn't going to help you to trade. But if you know what you're looking at, you just need a little bit of insight, now would be the time. So I wanted to share a couple things because I seen it come across from UB2 Sob, and he didn't even share these to me. But these are some of his cloud art. And I really think more people need to see his page. I think it's phenomenal. So every single episode, I'm going to go through like a review on Twitter maybe. We're going to see the Twitter. Hey, up to 31 followers. So he did get a few more followers. I think he needs to get up to 100, but that's just me. So UB2 Sob, UB2B, at UB2B5. Descriptions in my video. video description below has his Twitter. You can just click on it in my YouTube video description. Want to be a chart wizard? Join Tom's Army. See, I mean, he's a genius. And he watches my stuff, and it's just an honor. God, I love this stuff. So you guys have already seen this, but I like the hashtag be better, do better. Unleash your inner strength. Hashtag be better, do better. Now we're just kind of dicking around, killing time, having fun, seeing what everybody's saying. Let's see what everybody's saying. So, and if you guys want to follow my Twitter, we've got 500 followers on the news. So I want to thank each and every one of you for following my Twitter. Stay blessed, and I will see you shortly.